name's Shell. Welcome to my channel where I'm losing weight using the Slimming World plan. Happy New Year to everybody. I hope you had a lovely New Year and a lovely festive season. Did you do much over Christmas? We just had a quiet Christmas here. It was very nice though, just nice and relaxing. But it is nice to get back to normality, isn't it? There's so much build up now to Christmas. I feel from about September onwards, it's always there at the back of your mind and you're working towards it, and then within a week it's gone. And it is kind of nice just to get back to normal life again. So welcome if you come into my channel for the first time, and lovely to see you if you've been here before. I haven't made a video for quite a while. I think it must be the middle of November or early November since I last made a video. And I did put a little community post up saying that I wasn't well, and I really haven't been at all well since then. I don't really want to go into it because it's so boring to listen to somebody else's medical stuff, and it would take too long. But I had quite a few problems and I was really poorly, and I haven't thought about Slimming World since then, up until really going back this week. It just wasn't something that I was on my radar. A couple of ladies asked me about the HRT aspect of the problems that I had. I did have some digestive issues down to, which I think was indigestion, that caused me an awful lot of problems. I think I had a burnt throat through that, but that gave me terrible issues, swallowing and various things. But I did start on HRT. When was it now? Was it September? And the first few weeks were brilliant. I had a fantastic time, and the problems that I was having all disappeared like magic, and it was wonderful. And then I started losing blood, and it went on for a month, and I think I got to the point where I was pretty much dangerously anemic. I was so ill, I couldn't even hardly stand up. I was that weak. And even going to make a cup of tea, I'd go into the kitchen and I'd try to stand up. My heart was thundering as if I'd run 50 miles. I had to keep having to get down on the floor because I felt so sick, and it was terrible. And some days I just stayed in bed and I couldn't eat anything. I was just drinking water and I was so ill. I ended up going for an ultrasound, which I thought was just going to be routine ultrasound. But then I got the results back saying that there was a problem, so I had to go up to the main hospital, which was on the 19th of December. I had to go for a hysteroscopy and a biopsy, wound biopsy, and I haven't had the results back yet because it was Christmas. I think it's all taken a bit longer, so I haven't had the results of the biopsy back yet, which wasn't nice, waiting over Christmas and New Year not knowing, but somebody has to. I mean, these go on all year, and somebody has to wait over Christmas, so that was it. I'm hoping the results will come back okay. They did say when they were looking that they couldn't see anything immediately wrong, and they sounded quite positive. So I am cautiously hopeful, and I do feel a lot better now. They took me off the HRT straight away. I did ask the gynaecologist, who was lovely. I did ask him, could this, if it was something unpleasant, could the HRT be the cause of it? And he assured me that no, absolutely not. But if I had started HRT and I did have a pre-existing cancer problem, it would have exasperated things, because the estrogen would feed the cancer. So I had to come off that straight away, and I'm not going to go back on it, I've decided. I know my friends they all seem to have had a fantastic time on it, and it's really worked out well for them, and I'm not wanting to put anybody off who is wanting to try, because most people seem to do really well on it. And perhaps if I'd had a more supportive doctor, it would have been better. My doctor surgery, the two doctors there are two older gentlemen, and they won't discuss HRT at all. So I couldn't go on it through the NHS. I decided to go to see an online doctor, and I didn't want to go to some. I don't know. I'm not saying that the doctors at something like Superdrug online are not good doctors. I just don't know. I wanted to go and see a a menopause specialist. So I went to somewhere called the Newson Clinic, and it was very expensive. It was, I think it was about £300 for the hours consultancy, and then on top of that, for them to write a prescription out, that was 40 quid, and then to write a letter to your doctor's 40 quid, and then to get the prescription from the original place was 100 and something, you know, and it just goes on. And they did say, if there's any problem, just come back to us and you won't have to pay for that, which was fine. So when there was a problem, I did go back to them, and no, I didn't have to pay to the doctor, as they said, but when you've seen the doctor, it generates a letter, 40 quid for the letter, which is just an email, so £40 for that. If you have to have another prescription, another £40, and it just, you don't feel that you can just go and say, look, can you just spare me 5 minutes to, you know, have a chat, because it's ratcheting up the money all the time. I must have spent about £600-700, I think, and but it was worth it for me to go and see somebody that I thought was a specialist, and you know, they were very good. I'm not saying that they weren't a good clinic, but I just didn't feel that I could, and I don't feel that I can keep going back to ask them to adjust it. Now, friends of mine who've gone on HRT through the NHS, they've had very supportive doctors, and they can pop into the doctor and keep adjusting the type of HRT and the method it's delivered and the doses, and they've managed to do that until they've got it right. And I didn't feel I could do that, especially not being able to go to my own doctor to discuss it. And also, I just feel great now. Since coming off it, I was in pain all the time. It was like having terrible monthly pains, the worst I've ever had in my life. I was having gallstone attacks, which I haven't had. I've only had little flare-ups since having my gallbladder out. I was having big, full-on gallstone attacks. I couldn't eat. It was just awful. So I've been off it all now for 3 weeks, and everything is starting to get back to normal. I was only saying to Andy, my partner, this week, I feel that just this week I've had a real turnaround, and things are just starting to get so much better. So if I can just get this result back from the biopsy, and hopefully it's all clear. I've got my fingers crossed anyway, cross my fingers. Hopefully it's all clear, and then I can just carry on with my life. So that has been what's happened, and I'm sorry that I was away, but I don't want this channel to be about my not being well. I want it to be about Slimming World. So that's the end to that, and now I just want to talk about Slimming World from now on, get back to a bit of normality. So I went back to group this week, having not been for, I think I've been away for 6 or 7 weeks, and I had put on 9.5 pounds, and some of that I think a good bit of that went on in the last week, because I was feeling so much better, and I knew I wasn't going back to Slimming World for a week, and I think I just enjoyed myself a bit. I think I possibly put on about 4 pounds in the last week, which should come off that bit anyway fairly quickly. But it was nice to get back to group and get the new plan. Unfortunately, my Braille books weren't ready yet, which I think is a bit disappointing, since everybody else has had their books for 2 weeks. I don't see why they couldn't have had the Braille books available on the same day. They keep saying that they've had this book ready for months, so I don't really understand that. But anyway, she did promise me it'd be there next week. And I'm really excited about this new plan. All the big changes we've had before, where we've started with a new plan, I've not really liked the changes that have been made, but this time I really like them. They suit me. I love the new Fats Healthy Extra. Things haven't changed that much, and if you wanted to carry on doing the plan exactly as you were doing it before, you can do, but I really like the new Fats Healthy Extra, because I eat quite a lot of nuts, and it is going to help incorporate those into the plan and use them as a healthy extra. So I was very pleased about that. I have changed the way I'm doing the plan quite a lot since being ill. I have tried to concentrate more on eating healthier things just whilst I'm recovering. So in the morning I've changed my breakfast. I have quite a big breakfast now, and I was using about 150 grams. I had a punnet of raspberries, an apple chopped up, usually about a tablespoon of mixed nuts and seeds, half a tin of beans, like chickpeas or red kidney beans, and mix all that in together, and it's a really big hearty breakfast. And then for dinner I've been having a smoothie. I know a lot of people on Slimming World sort of shy away from smoothies because you have to sin them, but they don't work out at that many sins, to be honest. If you make a smoothie like I make, which is as much vegetables as it is fruit, it's not that many sins. The one we've had the last couple of days, we've filled the Vitamix, which is our blender, we've filled it about a third full of kale, and then we've put a load of tomatoes on top, which of course are free even if you blend them, and then we put a lot of beans in. We've had haricot beans in the last couple of days, which really thickens it up and extra protein. We've put nuts in. I've used the other nuts from because I only have half a healthy extra fat with the nuts on the breakfast, so the other half has gone in with the smoothie. And then we've had pears and berries, mixed berries. Get those wonky berries, the frozen cheap wonky berries. Nectarines we've had, and kiwi, all different things we've put in. And my smoothie, which I have a pint, it comes to 3.5 sins, because you take the fruit that you use and you put it in the app as cooked fruit. So for example, the cooked pears, I think 250 grams of cooked pears is 6, I keep saying sins, I'm sorry, it's SWIPs now, I will get used to it. 250 grams of pears are 6 SWIPs, and then I added on another 100 grams, so that was 2 sins. 100 grams of pears 2, so 8 SWIPs, and that's divided up into 4, so it's only going to be 2 SWIPs of pears. I had 1 SWIP of berries, which is 50 grams, and half a SWIP of tangerines. So the whole smoothie only comes to 3.5 SWIPs, and it's so filling, really filling, and I wanted to get that nutrition in, lots of greens, berries, nuts and seeds, all into the one dinner. I haven't been able to chew salad for quite a while. Otherwise I used to have great big huge bowls of salads and all sorts and chew my way through those, but I'm still not able to chew enough, and I want to get in those raw goodness at dinner time. So we've been having the smoothies and really enjoying them actually. They're so tasty and so filling. And then for tea, I've kind of just been having something that fits in with the plan, but not worrying quite as much about the nutrition side of it. So perhaps having rice and dal with cauliflower rice or broccoli, something like that. Or tonight we're going to have pasta and tomato sauce with broccoli and butter beans. So it's been nice. And then treats of an evening. So I have changed the way I've been doing the plan quite a lot, and I'm going to stay with that for a while. The group was nice. It was nice to get back. We only had 1 new member. I thought there might have been more with it being the first week in January, but the weather was terrible. It was so cold that I think perhaps it might have put people off. They might think they'll come back next week instead. Apart from that, I was going to show you these new raspberries that I found. Now, I buy frozen raspberries because I do my shopping once a week. Sometimes I buy a punnet of fresh raspberries, and then the rest I buy frozen. Now these are from Marks and Spencer's. I forgot to ask Andy which way up they go, but anyway. And they come in a tub, a square carton, quite a big square carton, and there's 500 grams in there. These are head and shoulders way better than any other frozen raspberry I've had. They were around about the same price as the other raspberries, but I noticed this week they'd gone up by £1.50 to £6.50, I think it was. But when you get them out of the box, I don't know whether it's because they're in a tub so they don't get smashed about as much, but the raspberries come out whole, nice great big whole raspberries. Normally when you get them in a bag they're all sort of crumpled up. I get mine out the night before and just leave them to defrost, and then I pile the apple and then put hot beans on top, and it's lovely. I'm going to start incorporating as well raisins into that meal. I got those coming today because I just fancied making them a little bit sweeter somehow. Just fancied that bit of sweetness you get from raisins. So I've usually got half a healthy extra left over at the end of the day, so I'm going to make that into the raisins. I don't think I've got much else to tell you about. I've got some nice things to show you next week, so I'll work out. I'm still getting to grips with the app because I used to do all my SWIP values on the computer, but they've taken it away now, so we've got to do it on the app. So I'm having to learn how to use the app, and I'm going through everything that I'm eating now to recalculate to make sure that it's the same, because I did notice that my cornettos that used to be 8.5 are now 9.5, which is very disappointing. So I'm having one of those tonight, as long as it comes in the shopping, which isn't always guaranteed. But to make way for a 9.5 SWIP treat, I'm going to have an almost free tea, which is why we're having the tomato sauce and beans and pasta, which will be lovely and filling, but it'll give me the opportunity to have a nice cornetto later on. I've stopped drinking, that's the other thing. I have a feeling, I used to have a whiskey, just a single whiskey every night before bed. I've not been a binge drinker. I'm not, I don't spend a night drinking, but I used to have a little Jack Daniels every night before bed, and I think that contributed to the problems that I've had. So I've given that up, and I did have a glass of wine over Christmas. I think we had our Domino's night. I had a glass of wine then. And I had a couple of cocktails and a glass of wine on New Year's Eve, but that's all I've had now. So, and I won't be going back to drinking whiskey or anything like that again. I don't think it agrees with me anymore. So, more to spend on chocolate. Oh, I meant to bring down my chocolates I got for Christmas. I've been working my way through those. I'll show you next week, but they're called, I don't know whether you call them Booger or Booher box of chocolates. I'll show you next week, but they're 4 SWIPs of chocolate, which is perfect just to have at night when you've got the SWIPs left over, just to pop one in. They're just, they're so luxurious. It's nice. One of the things I like about Slimming World is being able to have something like that and not worry about it. I don't tend to eat diet things. I'd rather have one mouthful of something really, really rich and something that I can sit and think how gorgeous it is, rather than something that's made out of, a big thing full of puffed rice and sweetener and, something that just disappears as soon as it goes in your mouth. So I'll bring those next week anyway to show you. But until then, I hope you have a lovely week, and I hope your new year brings everything you want and makes all your dreams come true. I'm looking forward to getting onto a really good run now for the next 6 months at least. If I can stick at it and really just get back to the way I was before and get the health back on track, so I can get back on the treadmill, get exercising again. I'm hoping to have a good 6-month run now and get into the summer feeling really good. So I look forward to sharing the journey with you. Please let me know in the comments below how you've been getting on. Are you starting a new plan this January, or are you staying with the same one? Are you doing Slimming World? I'll be definitely sticking with Slimming World, as it's the one that works for me, and I love the flexibility it gives me, but still be able to have treats and lots of nice food. So take care, let me know how you get on, and I'll speak to you soon. See you next week, and hope that you see less of me. Take care then. Bye!